How are we getting on, folks? Look at not necessarily the best of days and days. Now I know. Look at we did pick four winners, um, out of seven. So look at that's not too bad, I suppose. But they're all fairly sharp priced. They weren't really of any great value. Like the biggest price was 6 to 4. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but I suppose overall, like beggars can't be choosers. Like we still had four winners at the end of the day. Um, that's still over a 50% strike rate. Like so, in terms of the tipping game, that's as good of a good day as you're going to get. Like moving on to Punchestown now tomorrow. It's a poor enough card. Now, to be quite honest with you, it is a poor card. The first two races look to be the best races of the day, in my personal opinion. Um, a lot of big competitive handicaps. It's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a very, very tricky day for trying to call winners. Look at whatever way you want to do it. Do it as best you want. But like it's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be a very tricky day in terms of trying to pick winners tomorrow. So look at whether you want to leave it or whether you want to follow. It's completely up to yourselves. But just for the sake of me doing a preview, say for the race and tomorrow, I just said I'd get on board and do it. I wouldn't necessarily encourage going all in on on all the favorites or anything like that. Like, but it's gonna be a very, very tricky day now tomorrow. First of all, the first two races I won't be covering because they are going to be Ryan's patron picks of the day. Um, the 250 is going to be the first one we will be covering here. Mahon's Glory, currently priced in around 2 to 1 for Dennis Hogan. Um, this one here is just a very, very tricky race to call. Mahon's Glory wouldn't necessarily be um the best horse in Ireland, let's just say. It's a mediocre handicapper. I wouldn't go to the stage where to say that it's not a good horse, because it's got some sort of capabilities, like, and it has run fairly respectively, but in terms of, say, grade one standard, whatever way you want to call it, like, it's certainly not going to be going to Cheltenham, and I don't think we'll ever see it going to Cheltenham, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, it's just it's a funny sort of a horse. I don't really know. The favourite here is 1 to 2. No real great value here. Looks to be the best horse in the race, but I have no trust in this horse whatsoever. Simply because you look down through the form line, you're picking holes left, right, and centre. Um, it's look at it's when it's been favourite. I think it's only been favourite once in its life. And that was when it was, I think, a 30 or 40 length, fifth or sixth, in a mediocre maiden hurdle. Now, here today, it's a weak opposition, and it really is. Like, when you think of Mahon's Glory is 2 to 1 in this field, like, it just goes to show the 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 standard and the quality of it. Like, it's not necessarily great quality, but yeah, just the fact that Mahon's Glory chased Gentleman's Game home two starts ago now at this stage. Before that, last season, it was I don't know, it was a fair distance behind. She Wears It Well anyway. On her debut, that was in the Galway Festival there, late July. So, in my opinion, and it's only an opinion, but in my opinion, that's the form of the race, and that's the form to be going on. Now, when I'm picking form of a horse that was about 50 lengths behind, She Wears It Well, like, it's going to be very, very tricky. But I'm just trying to pick out different little holes in the races and different, I suppose, gaps in the market that possibly is there to be shot at. Obviously, look at the fact that it was second behind Gentleman's Game in Cork. That's obviously a big, big plus for Mahon's Glory. It's taking an awful lot of boxes here. Wouldn't necessarily need to be a world beater to go and win the race, and the fact that it's got experience over hurdles as well. That's a great thing. I am not convinced whatsoever about this Gordon Elliott favourite tomorrow. I think it's going to blow up. I think it's going to drift in the market. I just think it's certainly not deserving of one to two, without a shadow of a doubt. 325 then is going to be Golf Marine at 4 to 1 for the Martin setup here with Mark Walsh on board. Now this one here is very interesting. Again, it's a tricky race to call. It's so hard to really nail down a winner. The favourite in here, if I'm not mistaken, is a Willie Mullins favourite. Now saying that, it's coming up against this Golf Marine, who is, I suppose, a little bit of a gap in the market here, and it's got plenty of, I suppose, overall potential and growth and everything else like that. It was fifth in a fairly big handicap in Navan last time out. I think that was over a couple of weeks ago now at this stage, but it ran a fairly considerable race, and it showed that there was some sort of improvement, and I suppose it was starting to come into his own, really, more so than anything else. I think 4 to 1. It's a tricky one. Look at it's on the drift as well, so it might drift out into an each way market. If it does, by all means, play away with it. At the moment, if the odds or the fractions are a quarter of the odds, it's at an each way market at the minute. Have a go each way. There's no shame in it. And I just think, look at, if the favourite does not turn up here, and if, I suppose, there's let's just say, no real substance to the race, or if the favourite doesn't turn up, there's no real outside challenger, and this Golf Marine could be improving enough and could be unexposed enough to actually put in a fairly decent effort, regardless of whether the favourite turns up or not. 4 o'clock then is going to be my patron pick of the day, so I won't be covering that one. But the 4:30, and this one here is going to be the next best for me. The West Awaits at 7 to 4 for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Now this one here I am very, very excited to see. It was a winner in Clonmel in a bumper last time out. That was in 2020, February 2020. Ran some fairly considerable races before that. Now, it's been partying away with some fairly decent company in them 3 runs. It's very well related. I think it was actually bred out of Ballydial, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So it's got plenty of pace, I suppose, bred into him as well. Obviously comes from a great family. All you need to do is just look at the breeding, and there's a long list of winners and a long list of very talented winners as well on the flat. But since Willie got on board, he should be well capable of putting up a fairly decent run. Obviously, you just need to look at the way the Willie Mullins clan just absolutely tore apart in Ace there today. I just think that it's there to be played at 7 to 4, and I just think overall, like, the quality of this field, like, it's poor enough. Like, I know it's Monday racing, and I know it's only 2 weeks to Cheltenham, like, so you're not going to be seeing the big stars a couple of weeks before Cheltenham, but like, it is poor racing, like, there is no doubt about it. Like, the West Awaits definitely looks to be I suppose, the standard bearer. And I suppose the class act of this particular race now tomorrow, and look at 7 to 4, it's a great price, and I just think it's nap-worthy contendership. It should be well capable. Ground should be perfectly fine, and everything else is just absolutely rosy. Now the 5 o'clock is going to be my next best each way. Now this one here is He's the One. Currently priced in around 5 to 1. Like I said, next best each way. It's a very, very competitive field, but in my personal opinion, this horse should not be beaten. I've been very, very impressed with the last couple of runs. He's very, very well related. He put in a very decent show last time out when he was staying on for third. That was in a fairly similar enough race than what he's meeting here. I think he's only gone up £3. So realistically, it's there to be it's there to be played again, and it should be definitely avail of the fact that he stayed on very well for third. I would be imagining that um he should be well fit enough now to get his head in front. Experience as well. He's got a couple of runs over hurdles now as well, so he should be definitely thereabouts. Um, there's no doubt about it. Like it's a tricky enough handicap here, and it's a poor enough standard handicap. Like it's I wouldn't say bottom of the barrel, but it's I suppose treading on the lower level handicaps. Like it's not you wouldn't be classing this as top quality racing by all means, but yeah, 5 to 1 though. It certainly looks to be a nice price for an each way perspective. I think if there is any each way sorts that are going to possibly go on and win it now tomorrow, this lad here should definitely be doing the business. I would be definitely thinking that. And finally, then the last race of the day is going to be Gordon Elliott and Jamie Codd teaming up with Mighty Potter at 2 to 1. Now this one here, I'm just basically going off the breeding. Half brother to French Dynamite, half brother to Indiana Jones. If this horse even has close to the ability of this particular bloodline, he's going to run away with this field. He's going to go from the front and he's going to kick clear, going turning in, and it should take a mighty horse to stop him. I can't see a horse that's going to beat him now tomorrow. I think 2 to 1 is a very fair price. I don't think you're going to be getting it tomorrow. Not necessarily the strongest of bumpers. I know there's a few in here that have raced already before. Do have the experience edge over this favourite here, but they're not great quality, to be quite honest with you. They probably need a handicap mark to even think about going on to win a race, I suppose, in the future. Like, and it needs to be a fairly low one to be able to exploit the handicapper, like that sort of a way. That's basically all I have for tomorrow, for folks. It's not necessarily a great day for backing horses. It's please, if you are going to be having a bet, just please make sure to gamble responsibly and don't go overboard. Whatever you do put on, just make sure it's, I wouldn't say minimum stakes, but just make sure that, like, you're not throwing away all your money. Saying that, I want you to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing me content. That's definitely something that I would appreciate you all to do. Like I said, we're driving for this 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of June. Hopefully we'll be able to get it by then. I don't know whether we will or not, but we're going to give it a right good go at it. But I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully, look at, you'll be on a few winners tomorrow if you are going to be having a bet. Look at, thanks very much. Please make sure to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing, and the very, very best of luck tomorrow.